Welcome, and thank you for joining me. Tonight, we will settle our minds and drift into a place of quiet wonder. We are about to begin a gentle journey, a slow and peaceful voyage through the familiar and the profound mysteries of our own solar system. There is no need to hold on to any thought or any worry from the day. Just allow my voice to be a soft current, carrying you through vistas of silent, shimmering beauty. Before we depart on this tranquil exploration, I would love to know where you are listening from tonight, what small corner of our world you call home. Please feel free to share in a comment below. Your presence here helps this small channel grow, and if you find a moment of peace with me, please consider offering a like and subscribing. Thank you so much. And now, let us begin. Let your body grow heavy, your breath slow and deep, and allow your mind to open to the quiet spectacle of the cosmos. The day has ended, and the world outside your window has softened into shades of twilight and deep indigo, a transition so gentle and so reliable that we often forget the grand and silent mechanics that bring it into being. You are lying still, feeling the gentle pull of sleep, and yet you are in constant, graceful motion. Our Earth, this beautiful home of ours, is turning, spinning on its axis in a continuous, silent pirouette that it has performed for billions of years. There is no sensation of this movement, no shudder or sound, only the seamless and faithful procession of light into darkness. Imagine this motion not as a dizzying spin, but as the slowest and most majestic of waltzes, a rotation so perfectly smooth and unwavering that it cradles continents and oceans without spilling a single drop. This turning is the first and most fundamental rhythm of our lives, the gentle beat of a cosmic drum that dictates the opening and closing of flowers, the migration of birds, and the quiet, inward journey you are now taking into sleep. The line that separates day from night, the terminator, is not a harsh boundary, but a soft, feathered edge. A wave of shadow that is at this very moment sweeping silently across the curves of the planet, climbing over mountain ranges and gliding across vast, sleeping seas. It is a blanket of night being drawn over the world, and you are resting peacefully beneath it, held securely by the world's gentle, turning embrace. As you drift, allow your perspective to float upward, rising away from the familiar landscapes of your home, ascending through the thin, whispering layers of the atmosphere until the entire world unfolds beneath you. From here, from the quiet vantage point of space, our planet is no longer a vast and complex stage of life, but a simple, perfect, and breathtakingly beautiful object. It is a marbled sphere of swirling white clouds, deep sapphire oceans, and the muted, earthy tones of continents. This is the image that has captured the hearts of poets and astronomers alike, the vision of the pale blue dot. That gentle blue, the color of tranquility and peace, is the signature of our world, a color born from the way our atmosphere tenderly scatters the light of the sun, and from the deep, life-giving water that covers more than 70% of its surface. To see the Earth from this distance is to understand its profound solitude and its preciousness. It hangs in the vast, silent, black expanse, like a single, luminous jewel, a solitary vessel of life in an ocean of cosmic emptiness. All the history you have ever known, every story ever told, every life ever lived, has played out upon the surface of this small, fragile world. And as you watch it now in your mind's eye, see it not with the complexity of a map, but with the simplicity of a lullaby, a round, blue, and gentle home, turning ever so slowly in the starlight. It is a cradle, built on a planetary scale, rocking you softly in the deep quiet of the cosmos. And this cradle does more than just hold you, it actively protects you. Surrounding our world is something entirely invisible, a silent guardian that you have lived within your entire life, yet have never seen. It is the Earth's magnetic field, the magnetosphere, a vast and powerful aura generated by the slow churning of the molten iron at the very heart of our planet. Imagine it as a great, shimmering bubble, an intricate and ethereal shield that extends for tens of thousands of kilometers out into space. This shield performs a vital, ceaseless task. From the heart of our solar system, the sun breathes out a constant stream of charged particles known as the solar wind, a current that flows through the cosmos at incredible speeds. Were it to reach our world unimpeded, it would strip away our precious atmosphere over eons, leaving our blue planet barren and exposed. But it cannot. As this solar wind approaches, it encounters our invisible shield. The magnetosphere stands firm, catching these particles and gracefully deflecting them, guiding them around our planet so that they flow past us harmlessly, like water parting around a smooth stone in a stream. We live our lives in the calm lee of this cosmic storm, entirely unaware of the silent, powerful protection that surrounds us. The only visible sign of this celestial defense is the most beautiful light show in the solar system, the auroras. In the far northern and southern skies, some of these captured particles are funneled down along the magnetic field lines, and as they brush against the upper atmosphere, they cause the very air to glow in shimmering curtains of green, pink, and violet. It is a silent, dancing light, a visual whisper of the great, invisible guardian that keeps our world safe and alive. And so you can rest, knowing that you are not just on a planet, but within a sanctuary, a world that is not only beautiful and alive, but also profoundly safe, a pale blue cradle turning silently, securely, in the vast and peaceful night. As our world turns in its protected slumber, bathed in the faint ancient light of distant stars, it is not entirely alone on its journey. A soft, silvery luminescence drapes the sleeping landscapes, a gentle, second-hand light that is a constant presence in our night sky. Allow your gaze to drift just beyond the blue and white marble of the earth, to the source of this pale glow, our silent companion, the moon. It hangs in the darkness, with a quiet and dependable grace, a familiar face that has watched over the earth for longer than humanity has existed to watch it back. There is a deep and profound comfort in its constancy. Night after night, century after century, we have looked up to see the same patterns on its surface, the same dark seas of ancient, hardened lava, and the same bright, cratered highlands. This is no coincidence. It is the result of a deep and ancient relationship. The moon is tidally locked with the earth, meaning its rotation on its own axis takes exactly the same amount of time as its orbit around our planet. The result is a perfectly synchronized cosmic dance, a partnership in which the moon has made a silent promise to always show us the same gentle face. It is a celestial anchor of familiarity in the ever-changing sky, a lantern hung in the darkness that feels as though it was placed there just for us, a constant reminder that even in the vastness of space, we have a partner. This partnership is not merely visual, it is a deep physical connection that you can feel in the very rhythm of our world. The moon's gravity, though it feels impossibly distant, reaches across the void of space and gently, persistently, pulls upon our planet. It is a subtle touch, too faint to move continents, but it is strong enough to call to the great oceans. This is the origin of the tides, the slow, rhythmic rising and falling of the sea level along coastlines all over the world. Imagine this not as a mere mechanical process, but as the slow, deep breath of the planet itself, a long and steady inhalation and exhalation guided by the moon's patient hand. Twice each day, the oceans swell, drawn upward by that silent companion in the sky, and twice each day they recede, sighing back into the depths. This gravitational embrace is a tangible link between our world and another, a constant conversation spoken not in words, but in the language of physics and water. It is a rhythm that has governed marine life for eons, a pulse that connects the smallest tidal pool to the grand celestial waltz happening hundreds of thousands of kilometers away. As you settle into your own gentle rhythm of breathing, you can feel a sense of harmony with this greater planetary breath, a quiet reassurance that you are part of a system of beautiful, interconnected, and ancient cycles. The serene and steady presence of the moon in our sky belies the sheer violence of its creation, a story of cosmic fire and cataclysm that ultimately brought a sense of calm and stability to our world. The leading theory of the moon's origin, the giant impact hypothesis, paints a picture of a young, primordial Earth, still molten and chaotic, more than 4 billion years ago. In this early, turbulent era, our world was not alone. It shared its orbit with another protoplanet, a Mars-sized body that astronomers have named Theia. Their paths were destined to cross, and they eventually collided in an event of unimaginable scale and power. The impact was not an annihilation, but a moment of profound and violent creation. They merged with the young Earth, and the collision threw a vast cloud of incandescent rock and vapor into orbit, a shimmering, fiery ring around our wounded planet. For a time, Earth may have had rings like Saturn, a fleeting spectacle of molten debris. But over thousands of years, gravity, the gentle and patient sculptor of the cosmos, began its work. It pulled these fragments together, slowly coalescing them into a single, smaller sphere. This sphere, born from the combined essence of both the early Earth and the impacting world, was our moon. What began as a moment of chaos gave birth to an eternity of serene companionship. This new moon, once it cooled and settled, began its gravitational dance with Earth, and its presence had a wonderfully calming effect. Its gravity took hold of our planet's frenetic, wobbly spin and steadied it, reducing the axial tilt to the gentle angle that gives us our predictable and life-sustaining seasons. In a way, the violent birth of the moon was the very event that allowed Earth to become the stable, tranquil cradle for life that it is today. And so, as you see it hanging in the darkness, a symbol of peace and tranquility, you can know that it is also a monument to a fiery past, a beautiful reminder that from the most chaotic of beginnings, the most enduring and peaceful partnerships can be born. That soft, silvery light of the moon, the gentle glow that blankets our sleeping world, is a borrowed luminescence, a faint and beautiful echo of a much greater power. Let us now drift inward from our planet's orbit, leaving the Earth and its silent companion behind, and journey toward the source of all the light and warmth in our corner of the universe. We travel towards the calm, unwavering center of it all, the great anchor of our solar system, the Sun. From our earthly perspective, it is a familiar disk in the sky, a dependable source of daylight. But as we draw closer in our minds, its true and magnificent scale begins to reveal itself. It is a sphere of incandescent gas so vast that it almost defies comprehension. If you were to imagine the Sun as a great, luminous ball 1.5 meters across, our own planet Earth would be no larger than a tiny peppercorn, and even the giant Jupiter would be just the size of a chestnut. All the planets, all the asteroids and comets, everything that we call the solar system, is but a tiny fraction of the whole. The Sun alone contains more than 99.8% of all the mass in the system. It is this immense mass that gives it its serene and absolute authority. Its gravity is a deep and quiet well that holds everything in a graceful, willing orbit, from the smallest speck of dust to the most colossal of gas giants. It is the calm, stable heart, the unwavering center of gravity around which our entire planetary family dances in slow, reverent circles. To gaze upon this great star is to witness a process of creation that has been unfolding continuously for nearly 5 billion years. The light and heat that pour from its surface are born deep within its core, in a realm of unimaginable pressure and temperature. Here, the universe's most fundamental element, hydrogen, is put under such immense strain that individual atoms are fused together to create the next element, helium. This process, nuclear fusion, is the slow, steady heartbeat of our star. It is not a raging, chaotic fire, but a sustained and controlled release of energy, a conversion of matter into pure light. Imagine a single particle of light, a photon, being born in this crushing core. Its journey to reach you is one of almost unimaginable patience. It does not fly straight out. Instead, it is absorbed and re-emitted by atoms in an endless, random dance, taking a zigzag path through the dense interior of the Sun. This journey from the core to the surface can take hundreds of thousands of years. The sunlight that warmed your face today may have been created before human civilization began its own journey. It is ancient light that has undertaken an epic pilgrimage to escape the heart of the star and finally stream across the 930 million miles of space to grace our world. Every ray of sunlight is a traveler with an ancient story, a tiny messenger from the Sun's deep and luminous heart, arriving after an 8.5-minute final dash across the void to deliver the energy that fuels our entire biosphere, powering the growth of every blade of grass and warming every ocean. The Sun's influence extends beyond the light and warmth it provides. It also has a breath, a constant and invisible outflow that touches every single body in the solar system. This is the solar wind, a stream of charged particles, mostly protons and electrons, that evaporates from the sun's incredibly hot outer atmosphere, the corona, and flows outward in all directions at speeds of over 1,000,000 miles per hour. This is the very same current that our Earth's magnetic shield so gracefully deflects. Imagine it as a vast ethereal river flowing out from the system's center, a current that connects everything. It flows past the scorched, cratered face of Mercury and the thick, veiled clouds of Venus. It washes over Earth and Mars and travels on into the cold depths of space, past the gas giants and their many moons, continuing until it finally dissipates at the very edge of the solar system, billions of miles away. Every world in our system is bathed in this same solar breath. The particles that stream from the sun become the shimmering tails of comets and the faint, glowing auroras on distant planets. Though we are separated by vast distances of empty space, this solar wind is a physical connection, a shared medium that makes us all part of one single, interconnected environment, centered on the star that gives it form and life. And so, as you rest, you can feel a sense of belonging to this grand, luminous system, a system held together by gravity, illuminated by ancient light, and connected by a single, silent, stellar breath, all flowing from the great, calm, and luminous heart at its center. Following this constant, whispering current of the solar wind as it flows from the sun, we drift now to the innermost planet, a small, dense world that endures the full, unfiltered intensity of its star. This is Mercury, a world of silent and stark extremes. It is a planet stripped bare, with almost no atmosphere to speak of, leaving its ancient, cratered surface exposed to the raw vacuum of space. The sun in its sky is a titanic disk, more than twice as large and 7 times as bright as the one we see from Earth. Because there is no blanket of air to trap this ferocious heat or to distribute it around the planet, Mercury is a world eternally divided. Its face is locked in a slow, 3-2 spin-orbit resonance, a complex and graceful rhythm that results in a single day on Mercury lasting for 176 Earth days. For weeks and weeks on end, the surface is scorched by unrelenting sunlight, reaching temperatures hot enough to melt lead and tin. It is a silent, sun-baked desert on a planetary scale. But on the night side of the planet, and in the deep, permanent shadows of craters near its poles, the story is entirely different. With no air to hold the day's warmth, the heat radiates away instantly into the blackness of space, and the temperature plummets to depths of cold far below anything experienced in our own planet's Arctic regions. It is a realm of absolute fire and profound frost, a world of two faces locked in a slow, silent, and eternal dance of extreme opposition. And yet, in those permanently shadowed craters, in the deep and silent cold, scientists have found evidence of water ice, a strange and beautiful paradox, frozen water surviving for eons just miles away from a sun-scorched inferno. Let us drift outward from this stark little world and journey to the next, a planet that is in many ways the Earth's twin in size and mass, but its complete opposite in character. From afar, Venus is the most beautiful object in our night sky, after the moon. It shines with a brilliant, steady, silver-white light, a serene and gentle jewel of the dawn and evening. This beauty comes from the fact that it is completely enshrouded in a thick, unbroken layer of pale, yellow-white clouds. It is a veiled world, its surface forever hidden from our direct view, giving it an aura of deep and placid mystery. But if we could gently part that veil in our imagination and descend through those clouds of sulfuric acid, we would find not a serene paradise, but a vision of a world that has gone terribly wrong. The atmosphere of Venus is almost 97% carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas, and it is more than 90 times denser than our own. This has created a runaway greenhouse effect on a planetary scale. The thick, heavy atmosphere acts like an impossibly dense blanket, trapping the sun's heat with ruthless efficiency and never letting it go. The result is a surface temperature hotter even than Mercury's, a uniform and suffocating heat of over 462 degrees Celsius, day and night, from the equator to the poles. The pressure at the surface is crushing, equivalent to being nearly a kilometre deep in one of Earth's oceans. It is a dim, hazy, and superheated world, a lost twin to our own Earth, a sombre and silent reminder of the exquisitely delicate balance of atmospheric chemistry that allows our own world to be a gentle, temperate haven. Adding to its deeply strange and mysterious nature, Venus moves to a rhythm all its own, contrary to the rest of the solar system. While most of the planets, including our own, spin on their axis in a counterclockwise direction, Venus spins clockwise, a motion known as retrograde rotation. It is as if the entire planet is spinning backwards. And this spin is extraordinarily slow, a lazy and languid rotation that takes 243 Earth days to complete. This is so slow, in fact, that a single day on Venus, the time from one sunrise to the next, is longer than its entire year. The 225 Earth days it takes to complete one orbit around the Sun. Imagine a world where the sun rises in the west, crawls with imperceptible slowness across the sky for months, and finally sets in the east, all while the planet itself has already completed its annual journey. It is a world with a profound temporal dissonance, a place where the concepts of day and year are intertwined in a slow, dreamlike, and bewildering dance. And all of this happens beneath that permanent, impenetrable veil of clouds, hiding its strange, backward rhythms from the rest of the cosmos. As we drift away from these two inner worlds, we are left with a vision of contrasts. Mercury, the bare and honest world of extremes, and Venus, the veiled and beautiful world with a crushing fiery secret. They are the silent sentinels of the inner solar system, testaments to the myriad ways a world can be, and a quiet prelude to our next destination. A planet that whispers of a past that might have been much more like our own. Drifting outward from the sun, we leave behind the veiled inferno of Venus and our own blue cradle, journeying toward the last of the inner, rocky worlds. This is a planet that has captured the human imagination like no other, a world that feels both alien and strangely familiar. We approach the silent, melancholic orb of Mars. Its most striking feature, visible from millions of miles away, is its color. A soft and beautiful palette of ochre, butterscotch, and burnt sienna. It is the red planet, but this is not the aggressive red of fire or heat, but the gentle, tired red of rust. For billions of years, the iron-rich dust on the Martian surface has been slowly oxidizing, exposed to trace amounts of oxygen and water vapor from a bygone era. The entire world has, in essence, slowly and silently rusted. Imagine this process not as a rapid decay, but as a planetary-scale meditation, a slow transformation over eons that has painted its surface in these warm, earthy tones. It is a color that speaks of immense age and of a long, quiet history, a world wearing the patina of time on its very face. This gentle, pervasive rust is the first clue, the first whisper of a very different Martian past. To understand the story of this rust, we must listen for the planet's other whispers, which come from the very shape of the land itself. As we draw closer, our imaginary gaze can trace faint, branching patterns etched into the ancient highlands, patterns that are unmistakably the work of flowing liquid. These are the ghosts of ancient rivers. We can see vast, smooth plains that were once the beds of great lakes, and intricate, fan-shaped deltas where those rivers once emptied into larger bodies of water. More than 3.5 billion years ago, Mars was not a dry, cold desert. It was a warmer, wetter world with a thicker atmosphere, a world where rivers carved canyons, where rain fell from clouds, and where a vast ocean may have covered most of its northern hemisphere. It was, for a time, a blue planet. Allow your mind to conjure this vision. A younger Mars, with deep blue waters shimmering under a pale pink sky. The faint echoes of that world are all that remain, preserved in the dry, frozen soil. The riverbeds are now just silent, winding channels of dust, and the great northern ocean is a vast, flat plain. To look upon Mars today is to look upon a planet of memory, a world that holds the perfect topographical imprint of a more vibrant and lively past. It is a profound and quiet nostalgia written into the very stone of the planet, a silent testament to how dramatically a world can change. And this lost world was not only watery, it was geologically spectacular. Two features stand out on its surface as monuments to a more turbulent and powerful era. The first is Olympus Mons, the largest volcano in the entire solar system. It is a shield volcano of such immense and gentle proportions that if you were standing on its slopes, you would not even be aware you were on a mountain. It rises 25 kilometers above the surrounding plains, 3 times the height of our own Mount Everest, and its base is so wide it would cover the entire state of Arizona. It is a slumbering giant, a testament to a time when the planet's internal heat was great, and volcanic plumes built this colossal structure over millions of years. Then, stretching for a distance equivalent to the width of the entire United States, is Valles Marineris, the Grand Canyon of Mars. This is not a single canyon, but a vast and intricate network of interconnected chasms, in places more than 7 kilometers deep. It is a great, silent scar across the face of the planet, a wound in its crust that speaks of immense tectonic forces that once tore the surface asunder. These colossal features, the sleeping volcano and the gaping canyon, now lie dormant and silent under the thin Martian air. They are relics of a more dynamic age, a time of fire and planetary upheaval, and their sheer scale speaks to a world where gravity is weaker and geological forces operated differently than on Earth. They are the silent, sleeping giants of a bygone era, and their profound stillness only adds to the planet's deep and whispering sense of history. And so we take our leave of this world of beautiful rust, of ghost rivers and giant scars, a planet that holds the library of what might have been, a place that seems to be patiently waiting, dreaming under its thin atmosphere and its 2 tiny moons. Leaving the quiet, dusty plains of Mars and its whispering memories behind us, our journey takes us further from the sun, into a region of space that marks a great and profound transition. We are crossing the frontier that separates the small, dense, rocky worlds of the inner solar system from the cold, majestic realm of the gas giants. This frontier is not an empty void, but a vast, sparsely populated domain known as the asteroid belt. In our collective imagination, shaped by films and stories, this region is often pictured as a chaotic and treacherous place, a dense, crowded field of tumbling, colliding rocks that would be nearly impossible to navigate. But the reality, as is so often the case in the cosmos, is far more serene and far more spacious. The asteroid belt is a place of profound and almost perfect emptiness. Although it contains millions of objects, the volume of space it occupies is so immense that the average distance between any 2 asteroids is well over 1 million kilometers. If you were to stand on one of these ancient stones, you would likely not even be able to see another with the naked eye. The night sky around you would look as black and empty as it does from Earth. So let us replace the image of a chaotic cosmic demolition derby with a more peaceful and accurate one. A great, silent, and slow-moving river of stone, its contents separated by vast distances of quiet darkness. Spacecraft like the Voyager and Pioneer probes have passed through this region completely unscathed, their journeys uninterrupted, finding it to be a place not of peril, but of deep and expansive tranquility. Floating within this ghostly river of stone are worlds of incredible diversity, from tiny pebbles to objects hundreds of kilometers across. The largest of all, the undisputed queen of the asteroid belt, is a small, spherical world named Ceres. At nearly 1,000 kilometers in diameter, it is large enough for its own gravity to have pulled it into a round shape, and for this reason, it is classified as a dwarf planet. As we approach Ceres in our imagination, we see a dark, cratered surface, but one that holds a beautiful and luminous secret. Dotted across its landscape, and concentrated within a large crater named a crater, are several incredibly bright spots that shine with an ethereal, white light against the dark grey terrain. For years these lights were a deep mystery, but we now understand them to be vast deposits of salt carbonates, left behind when briny water from beneath the surface welled up and sublimated into space. Ceres, it seems, is not just a dead piece of rock. It is a water-rich world, with a significant portion of its interior likely composed of water, ice, and perhaps even pockets of a subsurface salty ocean that persist to this day. Those beautiful, shining salt flats are the signature of a world that is, or at least very recently was, geologically alive. A small and distant body that is gently breathing vapor into the vacuum of space. It is a hidden gem in the river of stone, a tiny planet with a bright and fascinating secret heart. The very existence of this great river of debris poses a question. Why is it here? Why did all of this material between Mars and Jupiter never come together to form a planet? The answer lies not within the belt, but just beyond it, with the next and most formidable destination on our journey. The story of the asteroid belt is the story of a planet that never was. In the early days of the solar system, when the other rocky worlds were forming, the raw material in this region began to clump together, slowly coalescing under gravity. It was on track to become the fifth rocky planet from the Sun. But the immense gravitational influence of its nascent neighbour, the colossal gas giant Jupiter, proved to be too disruptive. Jupiter's gravity acted as a great, cosmic shepherd, its constant and powerful nudges stirring the material in the belt, accelerating the rocky fragments to higher speeds, and causing them to collide destructively, rather than merge gently. The gentle process of accretion was halted. Jupiter's overwhelming presence prevented this planet from ever being born. And so, the asteroid belt is not the rubble of a planet that was destroyed, but rather the pristine, primordial building blocks of a world that was never allowed to form. These stones are 4.5 billion-year-old time capsules from the very dawn of our solar system, and as we now drift through this serene and spacious frontier, this quiet, flowing river of ancient memories, we have crossed the Great Divide. The familiar warmth of the inner system is far behind us now, and ahead, in the deepening cold and darkness, the first of the great giants awaits. Having crossed the serene and spacious river of the asteroid belt, we have now truly entered the outer solar system. The light from the sun, now a distant and smaller star, is fainter here, casting a soft, twilight glow on the worlds that inhabit this cold and majestic domain. And ahead of us, dominating the view, is the first and greatest of these worlds. We approach the undisputed king of the planets, the gentle giant, Jupiter. This is a world of breathtaking scale and sublime, painterly beauty. It is not a solid sphere of rock, but a colossal ball of gas and liquid, a world with no surface to stand upon. As we draw near, we see that it is wrapped in parallel bands of swirling clouds, great atmospheric currents known as zones and belts, that circle the planet in alternating shades of cream, pale yellow, burnt orange, and soft brown. These are not static patterns, but dynamic, flowing rivers of ammonia, ice, and other complex chemicals, moving at hundreds of kilometers per hour. To gaze upon Jupiter is like looking at a celestial work of abstract art, a canvas where the laws of fluid dynamics have created a masterpiece of sublime and ever-changing beauty. This giant is composed almost entirely of the same simple elements as the Sun itself, hydrogen and helium. In many ways, it is a star that never was. It gathered more than twice the mass of all the other planets combined, yet it fell just short of the threshold needed to ignite nuclear fusion in its core. And so it remains not a star, but the largest and most magnificent of planets, a silent, swirling testament to the grand scale of creation. Within this beautiful, flowing tapestry of clouds, one feature stands out, a persistent and iconic mark that has been observed by astronomers for centuries. It is the Great Red Spot, a vast, swirling vortex of crimson clouds larger than our entire planet. This is not a fleeting storm like a terrestrial hurricane. It is an anticyclone so vast and so stable that it has been raging for at least 300 years. Let us reframe this not as a violent tempest, but as an ancient, slumbering eye. It turns with a slow and majestic grace, a great, calm vortex in the planet's southern hemisphere, a symbol of Jupiter's immense internal energy and its profound, long-term stability. The winds at its edge move at incredible speeds, but the storm itself is a place of high pressure and relative calm at its center. Its beautiful, swirling, brick-red color is a mystery, likely the result of complex organic molecules being dredged up from the planet's deeper, warmer layers and then exposed to the sun's ultraviolet light. This great, silent storm a feature that could swallow the Earth whole with room to spare, has become a permanent fixture, a steady and familiar feature on a world of constant change, a planetary birthmark of immense and quiet beauty. For all its stormy and dynamic appearance, this giant king plays a role that is profoundly gentle and protective. Its most significant influence on the solar system comes from its immense gravity, which acts as a silent, watchful guardian for the small, rocky worlds of the inner system, including our own. Over the billions of years of the solar system's history, countless comets and asteroids from the outer reaches have been drawn inward by the sun's gravity, their paths potentially crossing with that of the Earth. But time and time again, Jupiter's enormous gravitational field has intervened. Like a great cosmic gatekeeper, it has either flung these wandering bodies out of the solar system entirely, or captured them into its own orbit, or pulled them into a final, fiery collision with itself. We have witnessed this protective power even in our own time. In 1994, the comet Shoemaker-Levy 9, which had been captured and torn into more than 20 pieces by Jupiter's gravity, plunged one by one into the planet's atmosphere. For a week, the world watched as Jupiter took a series of blows, each creating a dark, temporary scar in its clouds larger than the Earth. It was a profound and beautiful demonstration of the planet's role as our silent protector, a gentle giant that takes the hits for the rest of its planetary family. And so we can rest in the knowledge that this great, swirling world, with its ancient, watching eye, is not just a distant object of beauty, but a vital and benevolent force, a king that quietly guards its realm, allowing a world like ours to evolve in relative peace and safety. As we linger in the majestic presence of Jupiter, the great, gentle king, let us draw our focus away from the planet itself and turn our attention to its extensive royal court. Jupiter is not alone on its long, slow journey around the sun. It is the center of its own miniature solar system, a host to nearly 100 known moons. 4 of these are giants in their own right, visible from Earth with even a modest telescope, the very same 4 that Galileo Galilei first saw 4 centuries ago. These are the Galilean moons, a family of worlds so diverse and so fascinating that each one is a destination in itself. They orbit their parent planet in a perfect, rhythmic, and predictable dance, a beautiful and intricate celestial clockwork. Let us take a slow, quiet tour of these 4 remarkable worlds, starting with the one closest to the king. Our first stop is Io, the innermost of the Galilean moons, and without question, the most tortured and dynamic world in our entire solar system. As we approach, we see not a serene, cratered body, but a startlingly colourful one, a world painted in vibrant shades of yellow, orange, red, black, and white. These are not colours from rock, but from sulphur and its various compounds, spewed across the surface in vast, smooth flows. Io is the most volcanically active body we know of, home to over 400 active volcanoes that are constantly erupting, spewing plumes of sulphur and sulphur dioxide hundreds of kilometers high into the blackness of space. Its entire surface is continuously being repaved with fresh lava, ensuring that no impact crater can survive for long. This incredible, fiery energy does not come from a hot interior like Earth's. It is the result of a relentless gravitational tug-of-war. As Io orbits Jupiter, it is also pulled by its sibling moons, Europa and Ganymede, in a precise orbital resonance. This constant push and pull flexes the entire moon, kneading it like dough and generating immense frictional heat in its core. It is a world being perpetually tortured into a state of fiery life, a place of silent, beautiful, and constant creation. Let us drift outward now, to the next moon in line, a world as different from Io as one could imagine. We approach the calm, bright, and serene face of Europa. It is a perfectly smooth, white sphere, covered not in sulphur or rock, but in a global shell of water ice. Its surface is one of the smoothest in the solar system, but it is not featureless. It is covered in a vast and intricate network of cracks and reddish-brown lines, crisscrossing its face like veins on a leaf. It looks like a great, cosmic eggshell that has been cracked but not broken. This icy shell is a beautiful sight, but the true wonder of Europa lies hidden beneath it. The same tidal forces that so violently heat Io are at work here as well, but more gently. They provide just enough energy to warm Europa's interior and melt the bottom of its ice shell, creating what scientists are almost certain is a vast, globe-spanning ocean of liquid salt water, tens of kilometers deep. Imagine it. A dark, silent ocean, larger than all of Earth's oceans combined, hidden from the cosmos beneath a protective shield of ice. It is a place of profound mystery and possibility, a warm, salty, and dark environment that may contain all the necessary ingredients for life to arise, a potential cradle of biology hidden in the cold depths of the outer solar system. Our journey continues to the third Galilean moon, Ganymede, the undisputed king of all moons in our solar system. It is a giant of a world, larger than the planet Mercury, a place of deep and complex history. Its surface is a beautiful tapestry of two distinct terrains. There are dark, ancient regions, covered in the craters of countless impacts over billions of years, a record of the solar system's violent youth. And then there are younger, brighter regions of grooved terrain, vast swathes of land covered in intricate patterns of parallel ridges and troughs, suggesting a time when the moon's crust was stretched and fractured by great geological forces. But Ganymede's most remarkable secret is not on its surface. It is hidden within. It is the only moon in the solar system known to generate its own magnetic field. Deep within its core, the motion of liquid iron creates a small magnetosphere, a tiny, invisible shield that carves out a protective bubble in the space around it. It is a moon with the heart of a planet. Our brief tour concludes with the outermost of the four, Callisto, a world whose dark, ancient surface is so completely covered in craters that there is no room for more. It is a quiet, patient record of the history of cosmic impacts, a world that has preserved the story of the last 4 billion years on its battered face. And so we see them, this beautiful clockwork of moons. Io, the fiery, Europa, the hidden ocean, Ganymede, the giant, and Callisto, the ancient. 4 unique worlds, each a universe of its own, all held in a perfect, gravitational dance around their gentle giant king. Our journey now takes us further outward, leaving the majestic Jovian system to shrink behind us into a bright, distant star, accompanied by its 4 tiny points of light. We drift onward into a space that is colder, darker, and more profoundly silent. The sunlight here is nearly 100 times fainter than what we experience on Earth, casting a perpetual, silvery twilight upon the cosmos. And out of this deep twilight, a new and breathtaking vision slowly materializes, an object of such impossible and ethereal beauty that it has enchanted stargazers for as long as we have had eyes to see it. We approach the planet Saturn, a world defined not by its pale, butter-yellow clouds, but by the magnificent and luminous structure that encircles it. We have arrived at the Lord of the Rings. They are a sight that feels less like a feature of astronomy and more like a work of divine art, a perfect glowing halo hung in the silent darkness. As we draw closer, let us focus our minds on this celestial masterpiece. The first and most profound truth of the rings is that they are not solid. They are not a single, continuous, spinning disk, like a record. Instead, they are a vast, shimmering collection of countless individual particles, each on its own separate orbit around Saturn, like a tiny, personal moon. These particles are almost entirely composed of pristine water ice, with just a trace amount of rocky material, making them incredibly bright and reflective. The size of these icy fragments ranges from microscopic dust grains to chunks the size of pebbles, to great boulders as large as a house, and even a few rogue mountain-sized objects. Imagine a celestial snowstorm, frozen in time and space, its individual flakes spread out into a vast, flat, orbiting river of ice. From afar, their collective light blends together to create the illusion of a solid structure, but a closer view reveals a shimmering, translucent, and ever-moving dance of independent, icy bodies, silently circling their planet in a display of profound and orderly grace. The scale of this icy river is almost beyond our ability to conceive. From its innermost edge to the outer limit of the main rings, the system stretches for nearly 300,000 kilometers. If you were to place Saturn where our moon is, the rings would stretch far across our night sky, a bridge of light from one horizon to the other. Yet, for all this incredible horizontal immensity, the rings are, in proportion, the thinnest and most delicate structure in the entire solar system. In most places, the main rings are only about 10 meters thick. To help your mind grasp this impossible dimension, imagine a single sheet of paper the size of a vast city like London or New York. The rings of Saturn possess that same extraordinary and fragile-seeming ratio of width to thickness. They are an impossibly wide and yet exquisitely delicate cosmic membrane, a structure of such gossamer thinness that when viewed edge-on, they almost completely disappear, reduced to a faint, silver line of light. This incredible delicacy only adds to their serene and otherworldly beauty. How can such a delicate and orderly structure persist over millions of years? How are its intricate patterns and sharp edges so perfectly maintained? The answer lies not in the great planet itself, but in a collective of tiny artists, a group of small moons that orbit within and around the rings, patiently sculpting the ice. These are the shepherd moons. Their gravity, though small, is just enough to gently influence the countless particles of the rings. A moon orbiting just outside the edge of a ring will tend to pull straying particles back into line, while a moon orbiting just inside will nudge particles outward, effectively herding the river of ice and keeping its banks sharp and well-defined. The famous, thin F-ring, for example, is held in its narrow, beautiful ribbon of light by the gravitational guidance of two tiny shepherds, Prometheus and Pandora, one on either side. These small moons are the silent, patient gardeners of this celestial Zen garden, their gentle, persistent gravitational touches creating the beautiful gaps, the intricate divisions, and the delicate, resonant ripples that we see throughout the ring system. And so, as we float here, in the faint twilight of the outer solar system, we can admire this final, lingering image. A vast, silent, and impossibly thin structure of shimmering ice, a masterpiece of gravitational art, meticulously and lovingly sculpted by its family of tiny, patient moons. Lingering for a moment more in the presence of Saturn, let us slowly pull our attention away from the shimmering, hypnotic plane of the rings, and turn our gaze toward the individual worlds that move among them. For as sublime as the rings are, the moons of Saturn hold mysteries that are just as strange, and perhaps even more profound. Over 80 moons are known to orbit this planet, but two, in particular, invite us to journey closer, to look past their simple appearance and discover the complex and active worlds that lie within. They are testaments to the fact that even here, in the cold and the dark, nearly 1 billion miles from the sun, there are places of incredible dynamism and unexpected wonder. Our first destination is the largest of Saturn's moons, a true giant in its own right, the incredible world of Titan. It is the second largest moon in the solar system, larger than the planet Mercury, and it is the only moon to possess a thick, substantial atmosphere. As we approach, we see none of the craters or surface features we might expect. Instead, we see a featureless, pumpkin-orange orb, completely and uniformly shrouded in a thick, nitrogen-rich haze. Its surface is a total secret, hidden from view beneath this permanent, photochemical smog. Let us now imagine a slow descent, plunging through these hazy orange layers. As we emerge beneath the thickest clouds, a landscape of profound and haunting familiarity appears, a world that is a strange, cold, and distorted mirror of our own. The temperature here is a frigid -179 degrees Celsius, a cold so deep that water ice is as hard as granite and forms the very bedrock of the world. But in this intense cold, a different substance takes on the role that water plays on Earth: methane. On Titan, there is a complete methane cycle. We see thick, fluffy clouds of methane, from which it likely rains liquid methane. This rain forms rivers that carve channels into the icy landscape, flowing down into vast placid lakes and seas of liquid methane and ethane, some of which are as large as the Great Lakes of North America. We have seen these dark, smooth patches on radar maps, their shorelines perfectly preserved. It is a world of breathtaking and alien beauty, a place where you could stand on a shore of frozen water and watch slow-motion waves of liquid natural gas lap against the beach, under a permanent, hazy, orange twilight. From this large, shrouded, and melancholic world, let us journey inward, closer to Saturn, to visit a much smaller, but in many ways, far more dramatic moon. We arrive at Enceladus, a tiny world only 500 kilometers in diameter, but one that shines with a brilliant, dazzling light. Its surface is made of pure, clean water ice, making it one of the most reflective objects in the entire solar system, a perfect, white snowball hanging in the blackness of space. Much of its surface is smooth and young, but near its south pole, we find a series of 4 long, parallel fissures in the ice, dubbed the tiger stripes. And from these stripes, a truly incredible spectacle is taking place. Great, continuous plumes of tiny ice crystals, water vapor, and simple organic molecules are erupting from within the moon and jetting hundreds of kilometers out into the vacuum of space. Enceladus is a world of active cryovolcanism. These are not hot, rocky volcanoes, but cold, icy geysers, powered by a liquid water ocean that is hidden deep beneath the moon's icy shell. The same tidal forces from Saturn that warm other moons are at work here, keeping this subsurface ocean from freezing and creating pressure that forces the water out through these cracks in the crust. This tiny moon is not just putting on a beautiful show, it is actively shaping its entire cosmic environment. The fine, icy dust that erupts from its southern geysers does not all fall back to the surface. Much of it escapes the moon's weak gravity and enters into orbit around Saturn, becoming a permanent part of the planet's system. This material is the source of Saturn's faint and diffuse E-ring, the outermost of its major rings. Imagine that. This tiny, brilliant moon is single-handedly creating and replenishing one of its parent planet's rings. It is breathing an atmosphere of ice and vapor into the space around it. And the implications are profound. We have found direct evidence of a liquid saltwater ocean containing organic molecules and a source of heat, all ingredients that we believe are necessary for life. As we depart from these two remarkable worlds, we are left with a final, contemplative vision. Titan, the great, hazy world with its slow alien weather, and Enceladus, the small, bright moon, actively erupting its hidden, life-giving ocean out into the cosmos for all to see. They are two of the most fascinating and unexpected discoveries in our long journey. Quiet worlds of immense and active mystery, forever orbiting the Lord of the luminous rings. Our journey continues its outward drift, leaving the sublime beauty of Saturn and its luminous rings to fade into a single, bright, stellar point behind us. We press on into the truly deep and profound darkness of the outer solar system, a realm where the sun is now just the brightest and most powerful of all the stars in the sky. Its light is thin and weak, and its warmth is almost entirely absent. The space here is pervaded by a deep, abiding cold. It is in this immense and silent twilight that we encounter the final two great planets of our system, the distant, mysterious, and beautiful ice giants. They are often spoken of as twins, yet each has its own unique and deeply strange character, two serene blue guardians of the deep. Our first encounter is with Uranus, a world of pale, ethereal, and almost uniform cyan. It is a planet of quiet and profound tranquility, lacking the dramatic, swirling cloud bands of Jupiter and Saturn. It presents a face of calm and featureless beauty, a smooth, blue-green sphere hanging in the darkness. But its calm appearance hides a uniquely strange orientation, a story of an ancient and violent past. Unlike all the other major planets, which spin like tops as they orbit the Sun, Uranus is tilted completely onto its side. Its axis of rotation is tilted at a staggering 98 degrees, meaning it effectively rolls along its orbital path. Imagine a spinning top that was knocked over but just kept on spinning as it moved across the floor. This is Uranus. It is a world that is sleeping on its side as it makes its long, 84-year journey around the Sun. This bizarre tilt leads to the most extreme and protracted seasons in the solar system. For 21 years, one pole will face the Sun in continuous, uninterrupted daylight, while the other remains in total darkness. This is then followed by a long, 21-year spring and autumn, where the planet experiences a more normal cycle of day and night, as the equator faces the Sun, before the poles switch roles for another 21 years of constant light and shadow. It is a long, slow, and quiet rhythm, a world that seems to be dreaming its way through its orbit. A beautiful, pale blue marble, rolling silently through the cold and the dark. We journey even further, 1 billion more miles into the twilight, to reach the last of the great planets, the final sentinel of the classical solar system, Neptune. As it resolves into view, we see a world of a much deeper and more vibrant azure blue, a striking and beautiful colour, as if we are looking into the heart of a sapphire. From this immense distance, it too looks like a place of calm and serenity. But this placid appearance is a deep deception. Neptune is home to the most extreme and fastest winds in the entire solar system. In its upper atmosphere, silent, invisible rivers of air flow at speeds of over 2,000 kilometers per hour, far exceeding the speed of sound. It is a profound paradox. Here on this frigid world, so far from the sun's energy, we find the most energetic winds of all. The reason is thought to be a combination of the planet's faint internal heat, which generates more energy than it receives from the distant sun, and the incredible lack of friction in its cold, gaseous atmosphere, allowing these winds to blow unimpeded. Occasionally, great, dark storms, reminiscent of Jupiter's great red spot, will appear in its atmosphere, great bruises of indigo that churn for a few years before fading away into the deep blue. To gaze upon Neptune is to witness a world of silent, effortless, and incredible speed. A place where supersonic winds flow without a sound. A beautiful, deep blue world of profound and hidden power. These two worlds are known not as gas giants, but as ice giants, a name that speaks to their unique composition. While Jupiter and Saturn are made mostly of hydrogen and helium, Uranus and Neptune have a different story. Beneath their thin outer atmospheres of gas lies a vast, deep mantle that makes up most of their mass. This is not a solid layer of ice as we might imagine it, but a hot, dense, and churning fluid of what astronomers call ices, a mixture of water, ammonia, and methane, compressed under thousands of times the pressure of Earth's atmosphere. At the very centre of each world is thought to be a small, rocky core about the size of our own planet. It is the methane in their upper atmospheres that gives these two worlds their signature, beautiful blue hues. The methane gas is very good at absorbing the red and orange wavelengths of sunlight, while allowing the blue and green wavelengths to reflect back out into space. This is why Uranus, with its slightly hazier atmosphere, appears as a pale cyan, and why Neptune, with its clearer air, is a much deeper and more striking shade of blue. And so we take our leave of these distant blue twins, two worlds of ice and wind and deep, cold beauty. One rolling in a quiet slumber, the other alive with the silent rush of supersonic winds, the last great planets in the faint and dwindling light of our sun. As we drift away from the deep blue jewel of Neptune, a profound sense of distance begins to settle in. The sun is now just a brilliantly bright star, its gravitational embrace growing ever more tenuous. We have crossed the orbit of the final major planet, and we are now passing through an invisible but significant boundary, leaving behind the realm of the planets and entering a vast, new, and largely unexplored region of our solar system. This is the third great zone, a place of profound cold and darkness, populated by countless small, icy worlds. We have arrived in the Kuiper Belt, the great twilight frontier, and our first destination within this new realm is its most famous and beloved resident, the dwarf planet Pluto. For more than 70 years after its discovery, we knew Pluto only as a tiny, faint point of light. But in 2015, the New Horizons spacecraft flew past it, and for the very first time, we saw it for what it truly is. Not just a dot, but a complex, beautiful, and surprising world. Its status may have changed in our textbooks, but this was not a demotion. It was the moment we realized Pluto was not the strange, lonely outlier at the end of the planetary system, but rather the magnificent king of a whole new kingdom of countless other worlds, the first and largest of the Kuiper Belt objects to be discovered. As the spacecraft drew closer, it revealed a world of incredible geological diversity, with towering mountains of water ice vast plains of exotic nitrogen snow, and a thin, blue-tinted atmosphere of nitrogen and methane. But one feature, above all others, captured the heart of the world. Sprawled across a significant portion of Pluto's surface is a vast, pale, and stunningly smooth glacier, shaped perfectly and unmistakably like a giant heart. This feature, named Tombaugh Regio, in honor of Pluto's discoverer, is not made of water ice, but of frozen nitrogen, methane, and carbon monoxide. And this is not a static, dead feature. The surface of this great glacier is divided into polygonal convection cells, which indicate that the ice is slowly churning and overturning in a process similar to the wax in a lava lamp. This means that, even here, in this impossibly cold and distant world, billions of miles from the sun, there is enough faint internal heat to keep these exotic ices in a state of slow, constant motion. The surface of Pluto's heart is geologically young, constantly renewing itself, erasing any impact craters that might scar it. It is a profound and beautiful discovery. A tiny, frozen world that has a literal, slowly beating heart of ice. Pluto is not alone in this vast, dark expanse. It is just the first and most familiar member of a truly immense population of objects. The Kuiper Belt is a great, scattered, donut-shaped disk of icy bodies, a third zone of the solar system that begins near the orbit of Neptune and stretches out for billions of kilometers further into space. We believe it contains hundreds of thousands of objects larger than 100 kilometers across, and likely trillions of smaller comets and icy fragments. These are the pristine leftovers from the formation of our solar system, the primordial building blocks that were never swept up into forming larger planets. They have been preserved here, in the deep freeze of the outer system, for more than 4.5 billion years, perfect time capsules from the dawn of our planetary family. In recent decades, we have discovered many other large worlds in this belt, dwarf planets with names like Eris, Makemake, and Haumea, each with its own unique properties and moons. This is not an empty void, but a sprawling, richly populated realm of countless, undiscovered worlds, the true and final frontier of our sun's kingdom. And as we linger here, near Pluto, we see that it is not a solitary world, but the center of its own miniature system. It has 5 moons, a family held in a complex and beautiful gravitational dance. The largest moon, Charon, is so enormous in comparison to Pluto, about half its diameter, that the two are often considered a binary system. They are tidally locked to each other, so they orbit a common center of gravity that lies in the empty space between them, forever showing the same face to one another in a silent, cosmic pirouette. The other 4 moons are tiny, tumbling, and irregularly shaped bodies, likely captured from the Kuiper Belt long ago. And so we find here, in the deep twilight, a complete and complex system. A dwarf planet with a beating heart of ice, a companion so large they dance as one, and a retinue of tiny, loyal moons, all turning slowly in the faint sunlight. It is the first great outpost we have encountered in this vast new realm, a quiet and beautiful testament to the complexity and wonder that can be found in the furthest, coldest, and darkest corners of our home. As we linger in the vast, silent expanse of the Kuiper Belt, surrounded by its countless frozen worlds, let us now shift our focus. We have been visiting the permanent residents of our solar system, the planets and dwarf planets held in their stable, predictable orbits. But this distant, frozen realm is also the birthplace of the great travelers, the lonely wanderers of the cosmos. These are the comets, ancient bodies of ice and dust that are occasionally nudged by a passing star or a gentle gravitational tug from their quiet lives, and sent on a long, solitary journey inward toward the heart of the solar system. Let us follow one of these travelers now, on its epic pilgrimage from the cold and the dark into the light. In its home, far from the sun, a comet is a simple, unassuming object. It is a nucleus, a few kilometers across, made of a loose conglomeration of water ice, frozen gases like carbon dioxide and methane, and a large amount of dark dust and rock. The classic and most gentle description is a dirty snowball. Here in the deep freeze, it is an inert, black, and silent world, tumbling slowly through space, giving no hint of the spectacular transformation that awaits it. For thousands, or even millions of years, it can remain in this state, a perfect and pristine time capsule from the very dawn of the solar system's creation. But now, its long and stable orbit has been disturbed, and it begins to fall toward the Sun. For most of its journey, nothing changes. It passes the orbits of Neptune and Uranus, a silent, dark lump of ice. It passes Saturn and Jupiter, still frozen and dormant. But as it crosses the orbit of Mars and begins to enter the warmer inner solar system, a magical and beautiful process begins. The faint warmth of the Sun is now enough to begin heating the comet's nucleus. The ices on its surface do not melt into liquid. In the vacuum of space, they sublimate, turning directly from a solid into a gas. This gas erupts from the surface in jets and plumes, carrying with it the fine, dark dust that was trapped within the ice. This cloud of gas and dust expands around the nucleus, forming a vast, glowing atmosphere called the coma, which can grow to be larger than a planet. This is the moment the comet awakens. It begins to glow with a soft, ethereal, greenish or bluish light, a tiny, solid nucleus now wrapped in a huge, translucent, and beautiful shroud of its own making. As the comet continues its journey, drawing ever closer to the Sun, this process intensifies. The constant outflow of gas and dust from the coma is now shaped by two distinct and gentle forces flowing from the Sun. The first is the pressure of sunlight itself. The photons streaming from the Sun, though they have no mass, carry momentum, and they push against the fine dust particles, sweeping them back into a long, broad, and gently curved tail. This dust tail reflects the yellowish light of the Sun, and it can stretch for tens of millions of kilometers, tracing the comet's orbital path like a graceful, shimmering wake. The second force is the solar wind, that same constant breath of charged particles we felt back at Earth. This wind interacts with the gases in the coma, ionizing them and causing them to glow with a brilliant blue light. It then pushes these ionized gases straight back, directly away from the Sun, forming a second, long, straight, and narrow tail of blue plasma. And so, the comet is fully transformed. The small, dark snowball has unfurled two magnificent and luminous tails, a spectacle of profound and fleeting beauty. The very word comet comes from the ancient Greek for long-haired, as these early observers saw them as stars with long, flowing, and beautiful hair. And now this long-haired wanderer graces our skies, a lonely messenger from the cold, dark, and ancient past, bringing a silent, breathtaking spectacle for us to witness before it swings around the Sun and begins its long, quiet journey back to the deep silence from which it came. As that beautiful, long-haired wanderer, the comet, makes its graceful sweep through our inner solar system, it leaves a subtle and invisible gift behind. The magnificent dust tail, stretching for millions of miles behind the glowing nucleus, is not a permanent structure. It is a continuous stream of tiny, solid particles, ancient grains of dust that were once locked away in the comet's icy heart. As the comet travels along its orbital path, it is constantly shedding this dust, leaving behind a sparse, invisible trail of cosmic grit, a ghostly river of microscopic debris that continues to orbit the Sun long after the comet itself has departed for the cold depths of space. The solar system is filled with these ethereal, dusty pathways, each one the memory of a comet's long-ago passage. Most of the time, they are completely invisible to us, silent and unseen. But on a few special nights of the year, our own planet provides us with a magical way to see them. As the Earth makes its own, steady, one-year journey around the Sun, its path sometimes intersects with one of these ancient, cometary dust streams. When this happens, our planet passes directly through the ghostly trail of a comet. The result is a beautiful and gentle celestial event, known as a meteor shower. For a few hours, or even a few nights, the sky becomes filled with a soft, silent rain of light. Before we go on, let us gently clarify what it is we are seeing. The small particle of dust or rock itself, when it is floating in space, is called a meteoroid. The beautiful streak of light that it creates when it enters our atmosphere is the meteor. And on the very rare occasion that a piece is large enough to survive its fiery descent and land on the ground, it is called a meteorite. During a meteor shower, we are witnessing our atmosphere's gentle encounter with the fine, ancient dust of a comet. Annual showers like the Perseids in August are the result of Earth passing through the debris trail of Comet Swift-Tuttle, while the Leonids in November are the gift of Comet Tempel-Tuttle. Each year, we have a predictable appointment to pass through the ghost of a comet's tail, and we are rewarded with a beautiful, silent spectacle. Let us now imagine the final, fleeting moments in the life of a single one of these dust grains. It is a tiny speck, no larger than a grain of sand, that was born in the primordial cloud that formed our solar system 4.5 billion years ago. It was locked away in a comet's nucleus, preserved in a deep freeze for eons, and then released into space to drift along its parent comet's path for perhaps thousands of years more. Finally, on this night, its long and quiet journey is about to come to a swift and brilliant end. It encounters the upper atmosphere of our planet at an incredible speed, many tens of kilometers per second. At this velocity, the friction and compression of the air in front of the particle is immense. It is this air, not the particle itself, that creates the light. The column of air in the meteoroid's path is heated to thousands of degrees, causing it to incandesce, to glow with a brilliant, momentary flash of light. The tiny grain of dust that caused it all is completely vaporized in less than a second, its long journey ending in a single, beautiful, and silent streak across our night sky. It is a final, selfless, and breathtaking act of a tiny, ancient traveler. And it is this beautiful, fleeting phenomenon that we have come to know as a shooting star. For thousands of years, we have looked up at the night sky, and upon seeing one of these sudden, silent streaks of light, we have closed our eyes and made a wish. There is a profound and beautiful poetry in this. This deeply personal, deeply human ritual of hope and quiet longing is directed at a tiny, ancient speck of cometary dust, completing its final, incandescent journey. It is a momentary, luminous bridge between the vast, impersonal, and ancient story of the cosmos, and the small, quiet, and hopeful world of our own hearts. Each streak of light is a connection, a final farewell from a piece of a world we will never see, a gentle rain of light that has traveled for billions of years and across billions of miles, just to create a single beautiful moment for you. As you lie here, drifting peacefully under the vast and watchful sky, when we stand on the earth and look up at a shooting star, a fleeting visitor from the vast darkness, it inspires a natural and profound question. Where is the true edge of our home? We have journeyed past the planets and through the Kuiper Belt, but we have not yet reached the end of the sun's influence. There is one final, vast, and invisible boundary to cross, a line that separates the realm of the sun from the great, open ocean of interstellar space. To find it, we must journey far beyond Pluto, into a region of profound and almost perfect emptiness, following the last vestiges of the sun's constant, silent breath. That breath, the solar wind, which we first felt being deflected by our Earth's magnetic shield, has been flowing outward this entire time, a relentless stream of particles creating a colossal bubble in the interstellar medium. This bubble is the heliosphere, and it contains our entire solar system. Imagine it as the sun's final, protective embrace, a cocoon of its own making that extends for more than 10 billion miles in all directions. Within this bubble, all the planets, moons, asteroids, and comets are bathed in the sun's particles and protected by its magnetic field. It is a sanctuary, a cosmic harbour that shields us from the harsher, higher energy radiation of the wider galaxy, the cosmic rays born from distant, exploding stars. We live our entire lives nestled deep within this vast, invisible, and protective sphere. The edge of this great bubble is a boundary known as the heliopause. It is the place where the sun's breath, the solar wind, having travelled for so long and across such an immense distance, finally grows too weak to push any further. Here, it meets the gentle but persistent pressure of the interstellar wind, the collective breath of all the other stars in our galactic neighbourhood. The heliopause is the point of equilibrium, the surface where these two winds meet in a silent, invisible standoff. To cross this boundary is to truly leave the solar system. It is to pass from the sun's sphere of influence into the deep, dark ocean of the galaxy. It is a transition as profound as a river meeting the sea. The environment changes, the composition of particles changes, the direction and strength of magnetic fields change. It is the final, definitive frontier of our home. For decades, this boundary was purely theoretical, a place we could only imagine, a line on a cosmic map we could never hope to visit. But two of humanity's most remarkable travelers have now crossed it and sent back word from the other side. In 1977, two identical spacecraft, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, were launched on a grand tour of the outer planets. After completing their historic missions, their trajectories sent them continuing onward, out toward the stars, two silent ambassadors from our world. For decades, they travelled, growing ever more distant, their signals growing ever more faint. They crossed the Kuiper Belt and journeyed on into the vast, empty space beyond. Then, in August of 2012, after a journey of 35 years, the instruments aboard Voyager 1 detected a sudden and dramatic change in its environment. The level of solar particles it was sensing dropped to almost nothing, while the intensity of high-energy galactic cosmic rays suddenly surged. The magnetic field around it shifted, no longer aligned with our sun. The data was unmistakable. Voyager 1 had silently, and with no fanfare, slipped across the heliopause. It had become the first human-made object to enter interstellar space. A few years later, its twin, Voyager 2, on a different path, also crossed this momentous threshold. These two tiny, aging probes, each with less computing power than a modern cell phone, are now our first and only emissaries to the galaxy. They are drifting silently in the true space between the stars, carrying with them their golden records, collections of sounds and images from Earth, a gentle greeting to any civilization that might one day find them. And so, we can now picture our home in its entirety, a collection of beautiful worlds, all held in orbit around a star, all nestled safely inside the final, silent breath of that star's influence. A vast and protective bubble, with two of our own creations now sailing on the great, dark ocean just beyond its shores. As we imagine ourselves now, standing on that distant, silent shore of interstellar space, at the very edge of the heliosphere, we can look back toward the heart of our system. From this immense distance, our magnificent sun is now just a single, brilliant star, the brightest in a sea of countless others. This act of looking back, of seeing our home from such a profound distance, invites a new and gentle contemplation. Our journey so far has been one of space, of moving from one place to another. But now, let us begin a journey of time, by considering the very medium that allows us to see these distant wonders. The gentle, patient, and ancient medium of light. The most fundamental truth about light is that its speed, while incredibly fast, is not infinite. It has a universal speed limit, traveling at approximately 300,000 kilometers every second. Because of this, it takes time for the light from any object to reach our eyes. This means that nothing we see in the universe is ever truly in the present moment. We are always, without exception, looking into the past. This effect is subtle within our earthly lives, but in the vastness of the solar system, it becomes beautifully apparent. The light from our sun takes about 8.5 minutes to travel to Earth. The sunlight warming your world right now is 8.5 minutes old. When you look at Jupiter, even from Earth, you are seeing it as it was over half an hour ago. And the faint sunlight that reaches Pluto, which we imagined on its frozen, heart-shaped glacier, takes more than 5 hours to complete its journey. The entire solar system is a landscape of small temporal delays, a gentle introduction to a profound cosmic rule. Let us now expand this beautiful idea beyond our own system. As you lie here, imagine the soft light of the stars filtering through your window. Let us pick the very nearest one, Proxima Centauri. It is just over 4 light-years away. This means the faint, reddish light from that star that reaches your eye tonight began its journey more than 4 years ago. You are seeing the star not as it is tonight, but as it was 4 years in the past. Now let us look for the great Andromeda Galaxy, our nearest major galactic neighbour, a faint, fuzzy patch of light visible to the naked eye on a clear, dark night. That soft, ethereal glow is an ancient message. The light from Andromeda that you see tonight began its journey through the cosmos 2.5 million years ago. When that light left its home, our own planet was in the Stone Age, and modern humans had not yet evolved. The night sky, therefore, is not a simple, flat snapshot of the present. It is a deep, layered, and magnificent museum of time. Each star and each galaxy is a different exhibit from a different era. Some stars you see are just a few years in the past, while others are hundreds, or thousands, or millions of years in the past. All of their light arriving at your eye in the very same present moment. To look out into the cosmos is to be a time traveler, looking down a deep well of history. Every star is an echo, a ghost of light from a fire that burned long, long ago. To speak of these immense distances and times, astronomers use a unit that beautifully and poetically combines the two. It is the light year. A light year is not a measure of time, but a measure of distance. It is simply the distance that a particle of light can travel in one single Earth year, a journey of about 9.5 trillion kilometers. But woven into this unit of distance is the inseparable concept of time. When we say a star is 100 light-years away, we are simultaneously stating its position in space and its position in time. We know that we are seeing a vision of that star as it was 100 years ago. This elegant fusion of space and time is fundamental to our understanding of the universe. They are not separate concepts, but two sides of the same coin, a single fabric that astronomers call space-time. And so, as you settle deeper into a state of rest, you can hold this peaceful, contemplative thought. The universe is not just a place of silent, empty spaces, but of deep, ancient times. The faint starlight that might be gracing your room tonight is a collection of countless echoes from countless pasts, a silent, gentle rain of ancient history. Each photon is a tiny messenger that has travelled faithfully across the void, for years or for millennia, to deliver its tiny spark of ancient fire to you, right here, in this quiet, peaceful moment. That ancient starlight, the gentle, patient messenger that has travelled for so long to reach you, carries with it a fundamental and beautiful property: the quality of colour. Our journey through the solar system has been a tour of a grand and varied celestial palette, from the soft rust of Mars to the deep azure of Neptune. These colours are not random, nor are they merely superficial. They are the direct and beautiful signatures of the physics and chemistry at work on each world. A story told not in words, but in the silent, visual language of light. To understand this palette, let us return home for a moment and begin with the most familiar and soothing cosmic colour of all, the gentle, calming blue of our own daytime sky. The pure, white light from our sun is actually a perfect mixture of all the colours of the rainbow. As this light begins its journey down through our atmosphere, it encounters the tiny molecules of nitrogen and oxygen that make up the air we breathe. These molecules are so small that they are the perfect size to interfere with the shorter, higher energy wavelengths of light, the blues and the violets. This process is called Rayleigh scattering. Imagine the sunlight as a stream of different sized particles. The air acts as a kind of filter, catching the smallest blue particles and scattering them in every direction, while allowing the larger yellow, orange, and red particles to pass through more directly. It is this scattered blue light that fills our sky, coming at us from all directions at once, wrapping our entire world in a beautiful azure dome. This same gentle principle of scattering also paints our skies with the warm, soft colours of evening. As the day comes to a close, and you watch the sun sink toward the horizon, its light is now forced to travel through a much thicker, denser slice of the Earth's atmosphere to reach your eyes. This longer journey gives the air molecules much more opportunity to work their magic. Almost all of the blue light is scattered away from your line of sight. A good portion of the green and yellow light is scattered away as well. All that is left to complete the long journey, to you, are the longest, most resilient wavelengths of light. The beautiful, soft, and gentle oranges and reds. A sunset is, in essence, the filtered, purified, and most ancient-looking light of our sun, a final, warm blush before the world settles into the cool darkness of night. It is a daily, peaceful reminder that the color of our world is an active, dynamic process, a constant and beautiful conversation between the light of our star and the breath of our planet. This fundamental principle, that the color of a thing is determined by the light it reflects and the light it absorbs, is the master key to understanding the entire palette of the cosmos. Let us return in our minds to Mars, the whispering red planet. Its color is not born from the scattering of light in a thick atmosphere, but from the very substance of its surface. The iron oxide, the rust that covers its vast deserts, is a chemical compound that is naturally very good at absorbing the shorter wavelengths of light, the blues and greens, while reflecting the longer, redder wavelengths. The entire world is painted in the color of the light it does not want, the light it casts away. Now let us journey back out to the distant blue twins, Uranus and Neptune. They are colored by a similar but opposite chemical process. High in their frigid atmospheres is an abundance of methane gas. Methane's molecular structure is such that it does the exact opposite of Mars's rust. It is very good at absorbing the long, red wavelengths of sunlight, while allowing the cool, serene, blue and green wavelengths to reflect back out into space. And so, the universe, using just the simple laws of chemistry and the properties of light, has painted each world with its own unique and deeply characteristic hue. The colors are not a decoration. They are a revelation of each world's most fundamental nature. The cosmos is a grand and silent artist, and its palette is the beautiful, predictable, and deeply calming language of the laws of physics. As we contemplate this silent, visual music of the cosmos, the beautiful and serene colors painted by the laws of physics, a gentle question may arise in our minds. If there is a visual music, is there also a sound? What does this vast and beautiful universe sound like? Let us now close our imaginary eyes to the colors and instead open our ears to the soundscape of the solar system, a journey that begins with the deepest and most profound silence imaginable. Sound, as we experience it in our daily lives, is a vibration, a pressure wave that must travel through a medium to reach our ears. On Earth, that medium is usually the air or the water of the oceans. But space is a near-perfect vacuum. The vast expanses between the planets are almost entirely empty, with only a few stray atoms per cubic meter. There is no medium to carry a vibration. And so, the first and most fundamental truth of the sound of space is its absolute and perfect silence. If you could float beside Jupiter as the great comet plunged into its atmosphere, you would hear nothing. If you could witness the violent, fiery birth of our own moon, it would be a spectacle of light and fury that would unfold in a silence more complete than any you have ever known. This is not an empty or lonely silence. It is a deep, peaceful, and profound tranquility, the fundamental, resting state of the cosmos. And yet, in this perfect silence, there is a hidden and ethereal music, if we only know how to listen for it. Planets, especially the great gas giants, with their powerful magnetic fields and complex atmospheres, are constantly generating a huge amount of energy in the form of radio waves. These are not sound waves. They are electromagnetic vibrations, just like light, but at a much lower frequency. Our ears cannot hear them, but our radio telescopes can. Scientists have learned to take the data from these incredibly complex radio signals and convert them into the range of human hearing. The result is a strange, haunting, and beautiful collection of sounds. The sound of Jupiter is a dynamic chorus of whistles, screeches, and crackling. The sound of charged particles being whipped around in its immense magnetic field. The sound of Saturn's rings is a gentle, hissing static, the sound of the countless ice particles interacting with the planet's plasma environment. To listen to these converted signals is to hear the voice of the planets, a strange and alien symphony that is being played constantly, in total silence. It is the hidden music of the invisible forces that shape these distant worlds. There is another kind of music in the cosmos, one that is far more fundamental, far more ancient, and far more profound. It is a music that does not travel through space, but is instead a vibration of space itself. These are gravitational waves, ripples in the very fabric of space-time. Albert Einstein predicted their existence over a century ago, but they are so incredibly faint that it is only in the last few years that we have built instruments sensitive enough to detect them. They are created by the most cataclysmic and energetic events the universe has to offer. Two black holes spiraling into each other and merging, or two superdense neutron stars colliding. Imagine the universe as a perfectly still and silent cosmic pond. When an event like this occurs, it is like dropping a great stone into that pond. The disturbance creates ripples that travel outward in all directions at the speed of light. These ripples are not waves of matter or energy, but waves of stretching and compressing space-time. As a wave passes by, it infinitesimally squeezes and stretches everything it touches. Our detectors on Earth, using lasers and mirrors, can now hear this incredibly subtle, passing chirp as a gravitational wave from 1 billion light-years away washes over our planet. It is a new and revolutionary sense for humanity, a way of listening to the silent, gravitational hum of the universe, the deepest and most resonant note in the entire cosmic symphony. And so, you can rest in this dual reality. The universe is a place of the most perfect, peaceful silence, and at the same time, it is constantly vibrating with the hidden, electromagnetic songs of the planets and the deep, ancient, and silent music of space-time itself. That deep and silent hum of space-time, the final, faint vibration from a cataclysmic merger of long-dead stars, is more than just a sound from the distant past. It is the echo of a great and profound act of creation. The most violent and spectacular events in the universe, the deaths of massive stars in supernova explosions, and the collisions of neutron stars, are not endings. They are the universe's great foundries, the cosmic forges where the very substance of our world, and of ourselves, was created. This truth marks the final and most intimate stage of our journey, a turn from the vastness of the cosmos without to the equally wondrous cosmos within. To understand this connection, we must travel back in time, to the very beginning of everything. In the first few moments after the Big Bang, the universe was an incredibly hot and dense sea of pure energy. As it expanded and cooled, this energy coalesced into the first and simplest of all the elements. The universe began its existence with a very simple set of ingredients: a vast amount of hydrogen, a good amount of helium, and just a tiny, trace amount of lithium. And that was it. The entire periodic table, all the other elements that we know, did not yet exist. The universe was a simple place, waiting for the stars to be born and to begin their great and patient work. After a few 100 million years of darkness, the first stars began to ignite, pulling together the pristine hydrogen and helium from the early universe. These stars were the universe's first great alchemical engines. Deep within their cores, under pressures and temperatures that are beyond our earthly comprehension, they began the slow and patient process of nuclear fusion. They took the simple hydrogen atoms and fused them into helium. Then they took the helium and fused it into carbon. They took the carbon and fused it into oxygen, nitrogen, and all the other essential elements up to iron. For billions of years, across countless generations of stars, this patient, cosmic cooking has been taking place. Each star lives its long life by taking the simplest ingredients in the universe and transforming them into the complex and vital elements that are necessary for building planets and eventually for building life. The oxygen in the air you are breathing right now was not born in our solar system. It was forged, atom by atom, in the heart of a star that lived and died long before our sun was even a glimmer in a cosmic cloud. For a massive star, the creation of iron in its core marks the beginning of the end. Fusing iron consumes more energy than it creates, and so the star's great engine sputters and dies. Without the outward push of fusion, gravity wins in a catastrophic instant. The star's core collapses, and its outer layers are blasted outward in a supernova explosion, one of the most luminous and energetic events the universe can produce. It is in the fleeting, fiery crucible of this explosion that all the elements heavier than iron are created and then scattered across the galaxy. Every atom of gold in our world, every atom of silver, of copper, of zinc, was born in the final, violent death throes of a massive star, or in the even more exotic collision of two super-dense neutron stars. These explosions are the great seeding events of the cosmos. They are how the patient work of the stars is shared with the rest of the universe. This enriched dust and gas, now filled with carbon, oxygen, iron, and gold, then drifts through space for eons until it is gathered up by gravity once more to form a new generation of stars and, this time, a family of rocky planets, rich with all the ingredients needed for life. And this brings us to the final, beautiful, and most profound realization of our entire journey. As you lie here, feeling the gentle weight of your body, consider the substance of your being. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood that carries the oxygen you breathe, the carbon that forms the basis of all your cells. Every single one of these essential, life-giving atoms was not created on the Earth. They were forged in the heart of a star, or in the spectacular, fiery death of a star that existed billions of years ago. You are the living, breathing, and conscious legacy of stars that lived and died long before our own world was born. The dust of ancient supernovas is flowing through your veins. The universe is not something that is separate from you, a distant and beautiful spectacle to be observed from afar. You are a part of it, and it is a part of you. You are not just living under the stars. You are, in the most literal and beautiful sense, woven from starlight. As you rest here, holding this final, gentle thought that you are woven from starlight, our long journey through the solar system comes to its peaceful conclusion. We have travelled from the familiar, turning cradle of our own world, out to the distant, silent shores of interstellar space. And now, finally, our journey has brought us all the way back to the atoms that make up your very being. We have come full circle, and in doing so, we have discovered that the cosmos is not a place of chaos or random chance, but a place of the most profound and dependable rhythm. We have felt the steady, 24-hour rotation of our Earth that so faithfully brings the day and the night. We have seen the moon's constant, loyal orbit that pulls upon our oceans in a slow, deep, and steady breath. We have witnessed the perfect clockwork dance of Jupiter's moons and the serenely sculpted, harmonious rings of Saturn, all held together by the gentle, unwavering laws of gravity. From the smallest moon to the largest planet, the entire solar system is a great and beautiful symphony of cycles, a celestial machine of immense and peaceful predictability. And this grand, external rhythm of the cosmos is not separate from you. It is echoed, in a deep and ancient way, within your own body. The gentle, irresistible pull you feel towards sleep at the end of each day is governed by your circadian rhythm, a delicate and precise internal clock that is woven into your very biology. This clock did not evolve in a vacuum. It is a direct and beautiful inheritance from a life that has spent billions of years evolving on the surface of a planet that turns and turns and turns once every 24 hours. Your own personal need for rest and renewal is a deep and unbroken connection to the very first and most fundamental cycle we explored in our journey. To surrender to sleep is to surrender to the oldest and most dependable rhythm you have ever known. It is to place your trust in the gentle, turning embrace of your world, to allow yourself to become one with its ancient, silent, and peaceful motion. And so, we have arrived at the end of our exploration. We have journeyed far, and we have seen wonders that are both magnificent and humbling. We have stood on worlds of fire and ice, floated through rivers of stone, and marvelled at the silent music of the spheres. To hold this vast picture in our minds is to receive the gift of a cosmic perspective. It is a gentle, quiet understanding that our own lives and our own worries are a small and precious part of a story that is immeasurably vast, incredibly ancient, and breathtakingly beautiful. There is a deep and profound peace to be found in this perspective, a sense of calm that comes from knowing you are a small but integral and connected part of this grand and silent unfolding. You are a child of this solar system, a vessel of starlight, resting on a beautiful blue world that is, at this very moment, cradling you safely as it turns through the peaceful, silent darkness. And now, there is nothing left to do but to let go. Let your body feel its connection to the turning earth. Let your mind feel its connection to the ancient starlight within. And allow yourself to drift peacefully and completely into the deep and restorative rhythm of the night. Thank you for joining me on this journey. It has been an honor to share this quiet time with you. If these stories have brought you any comfort or peace, I would be so grateful if you would consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. And please, feel free to leave a comment to share your thoughts. I wish you the deepest and most restful of sleeps. Good night.